you average out the View hosts among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what you just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked, half baked, and you went on stage with it, and it's nothing
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there.
I mean, you're married, Tom. You're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. But let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures. And look at her track record. How many times does she have to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she...
Sunny Hostin has been making headlines recently, but this time it's not for her controversial takes on The View. Instead, the spotlight is on her husband, Dr. Hostin, and the news is anything but flattering. Dr. Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and head of Hostin Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, is at the center of a major storm. The allegations, insurance fraud, kickbacks, and brace yourself, a massive RICO lawsuit involving 180 defendants. This isn't just any legal case, it's a full-blown blockbuster. But before we dive into all the drama, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single twist in this Hollywood-sized scandal.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
Let's break it down. The RICO Act, short for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, was originally designed to go after organized crime like mobsters and gangs. But here's the twist. The ones in the spotlight this time aren't underworld criminals, but doctors, surgeons, and medical practices. Picture a courtroom drama that feels less Goodfellas and more Grey's Anatomy, only with a heavy dose of fraud. The lawsuit alleges that Dr. Hostin and others were involved in a scheme to exploit the healthcare system. They're accused of accepting kickbacks for unnecessary surgeries and billing insurance companies for procedures that may never have even happened. Imagine patients going under the knife, insurance footing the bill, and money changing hands like a high-stakes poker game in the hospital.
I want a citizen that has a policy. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation? How about removing some of the podcasts that disseminate this misinformation?
They have.
And that's...
Here's where things get really juicy. The lawsuit zeroes in on Dr. Hostin, accusing him of receiving financial incentives for recommending or performing arthroscopic surgeries, those minimally invasive procedures for joints. On the surface, these surgeries might seem routine, but the lawsuit claims many of them were completely unnecessary. Were these patients truly in need of knee or shoulder surgeries, or were they just pawns in a scheme to make a quick buck? If these allegations prove true, this could go down as one of the biggest medical betrayals ever, outshining even the most dramatic soap opera scandals. Imagine trusting your doctor only to discover you were just a piece in a financial game. That kind of betrayal cuts deep.
According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influenced and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft.
But wait, there's more. Enter American Transit Insurance Company, the plaintiff in this blockbuster case. ADCT alleges they've been swindled out of millions, claiming they were billed for surgeries that either never happened or weren't necessary. It's like paying for a steak and getting tofu instead. However, let's not forget that insurance companies don't have the cleanest track record either. They've been accused of underpaying doctors, denying claims, and exploiting every loophole to avoid payouts. So here's the big question: is ADCT truly uncovering a massive healthcare scam, Or is this just a desperate attempt to deflect blame from a company teetering on the brink of bankruptcy?
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies infested hen house.
Dr. Hostin's lawyer, Daniel Thwaites, didn't hold back. He described the action as a desperate attempt by a financially troubled corporation to recover its losses, calling it a false attempt. Thwaites used a well-known legal strategy to turn the tables on the accuser by shifting the focus to ADCT and portraying them as the true villains. And just when you thought this legal drama couldn't get much spicy, come Joe Rogan. The media critic and podcast king voiced his opinion, criticizing The View for what he described as obvious hypocrisy. Rogan reminded his audience that Sunny Hostin, who may have been aware of her husband's alleged dubious activities, frequently criticized others as though she knew all the answers. Subsequently, he attacked the show head-on with cruel remark, "You might still struggle to hit triple digits if you average out the IQ of The View hosts." Harsh? Definitely, but his followers were loving it.
Her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit. Okay. Now let's read this. Rob, is this a video?
Well, I have this. I'll show you this about.
Let me just read this and I'll come to you. So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Thwaites, denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread.
While Dr. Hostin fights to clear his name in court, Sunny has remained eerily quiet. Normally, she's quick to dive into controversy on The View, but when it comes to her husband's scandal, silence. Why the hush? Is she standing by him, trying to distance herself, or simply waiting on legal advice? Fans are buzzing with theories. Some believe she's protecting her image, while others suspect she's avoiding becoming the next target. Either way, her silence speaks volumes. Here's the kicker. Dr. Hostin is just one of 180 defendants in this massive lawsuit, which includes other doctors, medical practices, and even hospitals. If the allegations are true, this could go down as one of the largest medical fraud cases in history, an entire network of corruption exploiting the healthcare system for millions. It's like a heist movie, but instead of robbing banks, they're draining insurance premiums.